German, welcome back. Part two. Part two. How long has it been?
3 months-ish.
To the day.
That's what we agreed upon. Yeah, we're going
That's
to
what
check
we
back
agreed
in.
upon. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had 90 days to do life and do whatever you wanted. I want to hear all about what you did in regards to your health and fitness goals. And folks, if you didn't hear part one with German, go back to episode 9 and listen in because it's super interesting. German shared some of his health goals, and I'm going to let him kind of revisit that briefly now and then talk about what's happened since then. And with that said, German, take it away.
What's happened since then? That's a loaded question. I mean, you
Well, why
know,
don't you do this? Wait a minute. How about you just frame for us what the goal was?
okay, so the goal was to lose some weight, sort of get back into my fitness mood or mode or whatever you want to call it, into my groove, right? And so that was the goal. I did some things right. I did some things neither here nor there. And I say that I'm not where I wanted to be or where I was hoping to be, but I think I made a lot of progress, and doesn't mean I'm not going to keep going, right? So that's sort of the idea, that you set a goal, and even if you don't get there, you kind of still keep striving for it. That's kind of the problem with like deadlines, like, I want to do this by this date or something like that. And then people get there and they didn't achieve it, and they're like, okay, well, it's not going to happen, and they just give up, right?
Right. I see that happen a lot.
Yeah, so this whole thing with like 3 months, it was just like, let's just check in. But I kind of in my mind had it like, I want to be at a certain place. I'm not, but doesn't mean that I failed. Doesn't mean that I'm like done and that I lost or something. I'm just like, well, let's keep going. I mean, I made some progress. I made some changes. I mean, when you ask what's been going on with life, so we're like full of hope. We're like, New Year's about to start, and I think personally, and I think for like the entire world or the community, it was just like a really bad start to the year, right? Like, we had the fires here in LA, we had stuff going around the world. I had some personal stuff going on. I lost a friend unexpectedly, and so it's been just nutty, right? So it's what they say about the best laid plans, right? So when we talked last time, I had like this whole thing, like, I'm gonna do this and this and this and that, and then life comes and kicks you in the nuts. Or
Let's do this
yeah,
because we've been kind of generalized up
yeah,
until now. I want to be more specific.
yeah.
Talk to us about your height, your weight when you were where you were at. I mean, your height probably hasn't changed.
No.
But December 26th, what was your weight? And then what is your weight today? And then if you had any other additional scans done, like a DEXA scan or an InBody, that way we can start to be a little more specific because
Yeah.
right now it's super generalized.
Yeah, no, so what was my weight? Like I said, like 250 or something like that back then. I don't remember honestly, 245. I haven't weighed myself. I mean, that's sort of like the thing, that I don't like to weigh myself a lot. I just kind of like to see how I feel in my clothes. And that I've noticed a little bit of improvement. Not as much as I would have hoped for, but I've noticed a little bit of, leaning out a little bit. Not a lot, not as much as I would have hoped for, but I've noticed some changes. So I couldn't tell you like a number, because I didn't weigh myself today. So I couldn't tell you like,
You have no idea what you weigh like around? You haven't weighed yourself in the past 3 months?
I weighed myself like maybe like a month or two ago, and I was down like 5 pounds. But that's 5 pounds is like, you go up or down 5 pounds in like a day, depending on what you're
Well, you
eating or
can.
whatever. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I can go up or down like 8 pounds. And I really pushed the limit this past week and I went up by 9
Yeah.
and then dropped down by 5. And there can be some big fluctuations depending on who you are and what's going on.
Yeah.
But so I appreciate everything that you're sharing. However, when we made this SMART goal in December 26, you were
hmm
specific with your numbers. And if we're getting rid of the scale and not weighing ourselves, how are we going to know if we reached our goal and if we got closer to it?
Well, that's one of the things that I should have done better, right? Like, keep track of it. That's one of the things where, like, I'm
Bam.
not I'm not gonna say I failed, but I should have been more diligent about it, right? Like,
Nobody
actually,
needs to say that
right,
you failed because it's
right,
not a matter of failing.
right, right. But that's what I'm saying. That's one of the things that I should have been more diligent about. Like, that's what we talked about. That's the goal that I set for myself, and then I didn't quite follow through with it, right? I'm holding myself accountable for it. I'm not making excuses. I'm just like, hey, I didn't do it.
Good. So there's ownership there, which is step number 1. I have a problem. Here's what it is.
Yeah,
I own it. Number two, what are we going to do about it moving forward? If you want to continue with your goal, and I'm assuming that you do,
I do.
then you would weigh yourself, sooner rather than later and put a date to it. So we have some numbers, we have data. And then when it's time to see if you reached that goal, then you have to measure it again and weigh yourself again.
Yeah, that works. I mean, kind of like when you used to write your height on the door to make you see how much you were growing. So,
Yeah,
but going the
yeah,
other way, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So do you have a scale?
I do. Yeah,
Okay, perfect. So that's what you're going to use. And after this conversation, does it sound reasonable to start weighing yourself starting tomorrow morning?
yeah. I mean, I usually weigh
Okay.
myself in the mornings anyways, because when you're like you weigh yourself at night, you've been eating all day, you've been whatever, and it's not gonna be like super accurate. I think the mornings they reflect a little more like where you're at, or at least more consistent, right? Because
I agree with you.
if I weigh myself now, like I might have eaten more in the last couple of hours than I did yesterday around the same time of the day. So it's probably going to be different and it's not going to be as equal. But I know that if I go to sleep and I don't eat anything overnight, whatever the weight is going to be more accurate.
100%. So what we're looking for when you're using measurements is you're looking for consistency. So ideally, if I do have people use a scale, and not everybody does, and which is totally fine, I have them use it first thing in the morning after they've peed. And if they have their bodies so dialed in that they can go number two, then they'll go after they, do all their business, so to speak. And I will even make it more accurate by having them weigh themselves naked so that clothes isn't even a factor here. And before they've taken their first sip of water. So we're really trying to replicate things as identically as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I used to do that. I've done that before.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things that you used to do before that worked. And so there's no reason why we have to change things and look for new ways if those tried and true ways worked for you. It's just a matter of implementing them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's one thing. The second thing I heard as you were sharing about the past 3 months is that, January was rough. You had a lot of things. We had a lot of things going
Everybody did.
on.
Yeah. Not just me.
Everybody did.
Yeah. Yeah.
The start of the year was rough, and I couldn't agree with you more, especially for us living in Southern California. That was a
Traumatic.
travesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It
hard just like even thinking about it, because I know I have friends who lost their homes. But another thing that happened was you lost a friend, you lost a
Yeah.
colleague, and that's rough.
It was rough. Yeah. I mean, it affected me in a lot of ways. I mean, like I said, he was a coworker and a friend and came out of nowhere, right? And I think I had this conversation with you like a few days after. I'm like, dude wasn't that much older than me, and like really puts things in perspective. Like, I gotta start taking care of myself, like, because you never know. So
You never know.
you never
It's
know.
such a wake up call, and
Yeah.
we're young still. I like to think that we're still young, and I'm trying to think long term, quality of life. We're only like halfway there, if that. So we should
Mm.
have another possibly 45 years.
I would hope so. I mean, I only feel like I'm not even halfway there yet. So, we're the same
Good.
age. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how you feel, it matters. Like, I think that plays a huge role in your health. If you think of yourself as young, as playful, as fun, as childlike, then that transfers over into your lifestyle. And I don't know, but those people, they just seem like they have more life. They seem like they have more energy and more
Yeah.
joy in general.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm dressed like a 12-year-old right now. So, but
Well, to each their own.
yeah.
And when it comes to, so here's what I want to do, because as you can imagine, I work with a lot of folks who have big issues come up, like
Hmm.
they lose somebody close to them unexpectedly, they lose their job, they go through a major breakup. There's so many, they're having serious issues with family members. You name it, I've heard it, and it really can make an impact on that person's health. And so, German, let me ask you this. What do you feel is the best way to handle something so impactful, knowing that you have these health goals in mind, but also that no matter what, there is going to be some stress endured?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a I wouldn't say that there's a good way to handle it. I just think there's just how you do it, and yeah, just try to tackle it as best as you can. And for me, it honestly it just kind of threw me out of whack. The whole everything that was going on, right? It was a combination of the stuff going on in our city, in the world, personal, work stuff. I was super busy, had a lot of stuff going on, and it really did get to me. Like I was just kind of a mess. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be like I was stoic and got through it. No, it totally messed me up. I would probably say that it really affected my goals and what I was trying to do as far as like get more consistent with my workouts and not so much the eating because I can control a little more, but some of the other things that are like you have to schedule or try to go to the gym more often, and even things that I do for fun like hockey and stuff. I started not being able to do it as much as I wanted to because of all the stuff that was going on.
So simply because of a time constraint?
I'd say it was time, and I mean there were days where I would go to the gym and my heart just wasn't in it. Like I went, got up at 4 a.m., got there by for the 5 a.m. class or whatever, and my mind is somewhere else, right? And I'm sort of just going through the motions of the workout and the movements, but I'm not like feeling it, right? Like it's just not there. Like I don't know. It's like the first time that I felt when people say like stress does like affect you physically. I think I actually felt it.
What does stress feel like to you?
It's hard to describe. Just like sort of like the literal weight on your chest sometimes.
So a heaviness on your chest?
Yeah, something like that, right? Or if I'm like I was saying I go to the gym and start class, and then something about what I have going on with my work stuff or whatever would come to my mind, and you get that feeling in your stomach, like what do you call it?
Like knots in your stomach?
Yeah, like anxiety or something like that. Over it.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that had an effect on also, even though I was maybe physically moving, physically doing stuff. I think that kind of relates to like how effective it actually is.
Yeah.
Like if your mind is not 100% in it, I think your body doesn't benefit 100% from it.
That's a really profound statement. Say it again.
I have my moments. If your heart's not 100% in it, or your mind's not 100% in it, your body's not going to benefit from it 100% either.
Kind of sounds like they work together.
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you never really think of it that way because it's like, my mind or my state of mind. You never think of it as actually being related to your physical, state.
Yeah. A lot of people, they will work out really hard to eliminate stress, but it kind of depends on the type of stress you're going through. Wow. I'm
And to an
picturing
extent,
all of this.
it works. Like the whole thing of like I'm gonna go run, or I'm gonna go play hockey, or sometimes that does work. Like I'm just gonna like let it all out. But sometimes when you already show up at the gym and the other stuff is kind of more pervasive, it's gonna be hard to get really into it, or to kind of just forget about why you're there in the first place, right? Like I'm here to get rid of stress, but it's still there. So
Do you feel like you should have been doing something different?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's like a situation that I never like really felt that I've been in with like so many things coming at me at once. I'm not sure, right? Even now, I don't know what I would have done differently.
It's interesting the words that you just used, the stress coming at you. So it was
Yeah.
like pointed at you.
Well, there were just things coming from every
Direction.
Every direction, yeah.
Right. So it's like you're owning it, like that's your stress. Do you believe that we get to choose what is stressful and what is not?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because you can't control outside things that are outside of you that are going to stress you regardless, right? I know you can.
So you're saying that we have no power in how we decide to interpret something, or how we decide to feel about it?
No, we do. I mean, I guess there's always the whole putting things in perspective, right? Like when you were talking about earlier about the fires and how like there's people that lost their homes and for most of us, fortunately, it was just like, oh, it's like smoke and a lot of traffic and whatever, right? Or maybe you'll have to evacuate. But yeah, you put that in perspective.
It's stressful, but I think what I'm trying to say is there's lots of different levels of stress and we can determine how much of that stress we want to take on as our own. And I feel like, yeah, we can't completely eliminate stress because I don't think that's really reasonable to say
Mm,
unless you've been like meditating and you're a Buddha or something. I don't know.
yeah,
But I
I'm
think
not.
for most folks, people who have tools on how to manage stress, some people are much better at saying, okay, well, look, there's fires going on right now. I'm in an evacuation zone. I have packed up my belongings, and now it's just really me being aware of like the next steps, if I need to actually evacuate or not. And so we might do some practices that would help with relieving stress.
Yeah.
And with you, you had a lot of different things going on besides the fire and losing a friend.
But the fires were like the least of my, I mean, I don't want to say they were the least of my worries, but I wasn't like directly affected by them, right? Like it was literally going on around me where I live. I mean, like everywhere I look, there's smoke, but where I live, I wasn't in any like immediate danger, right? So,
Right.
but you still
So there
feel
were
it
things that
because people.
were way stronger than the
Right,
fires.
right, right. Yeah.
How did you get out of it and how did you eventually start working towards your goals again and get back into the gym? What happened?
One thing at a time. I mean, like the work stuff, I handled it. I mean, it's work is work. You do it, and at some point, it's got to be done, right? And so I got through it. With the fires, I mean, that kind of literally just kind of died down for everybody, right? I mean, after they put them out, I mean, if you weren't directly affected by it, it's kind of like in the past. Although you're still, it happened, right? With losing my coworker, my friend, that just takes time, right? You kind of start coming to terms with it, right? So
Well, it sounds like you just kind of gave yourself a little bit of grace. You gave yourself time to handle the stuff that you needed to handle because there really wasn't another option there. You still have to move on with your life. You have to work and it sounds kind of like you were gentle with yourself. Am I wrong to say that?
no, I mean, I took time. I mean, there were times where I knew I had to do something, and I'm like, you know what? It's just not. I'm better off going out for a walk right now,
Hmm.
like putting on these headphones, listening to some good music or something like that, and going for a walk right now. Like that's I need to do that right now. So that's how I handle those kind of things.
And then how long did it take you to kind of find your groove back into working out and nutrition?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to have like a specific timeline, but probably towards like the end of January, beginning of February, when like things calm down a little bit.
So a few weeks later.
Yeah, a few weeks later. I mean, lots of changes, right? I mean, like a lot of stuff changed for everybody. For me personally, we recently had to find a new gym because the one that we used to go to closed down.
And fortunately, you were able to find a new gym, and
Yeah,
you enjoy it, and so
yeah,
you're right back to it. You're working
yeah,
out again consistently.
yeah. And going back to like how I deal with it in part, I mean, it's it was like that weekend after the fires that like you actually came to the gym and we did like a partner workout and stuff, and we're like this kind of like a mental health workout, right? Remember
Yes,
that? I
I
mean,
totally remember that. I was stressed out.
that stuff helps. I mean, like, because it was like fun, like getting away from all this other stuff while we're, working out with our friends and kind of joking around and stuff. And that was fun, right?
Yeah, and dancing.
Yeah.
I totally remember that and the reason why I ask you these questions in this way is because I was stressed out, in particular around the fires. And
Well, you were right there, right? So like
I mean, I wasn't in it, but I was too close and
close,
it
yeah.
was scary. And no matter what I did, and I'm thinking of a lot of things I could have done better, like not being glued to the news for hours.
Like
That's probably not a smart idea. But I did the best that I could. And like you, I found my way back into the gym, especially during that time. And you know what? It kind of makes me think we were present. We were present with each other. We were working out. We were having fun. And for just a moment, we forgot about everything else.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, even at the gym, people were talking about it, but I think everybody that went to the gym around that time, we were all kind of like in the same mindset almost. Like we know what's going on. We're not trying to pretend it's not happening, but for like, well-being, we gotta try to have some fun, try to enjoy this, right?
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah,
It totally works. And I keep telling myself, and I don't know if you do this, but I focus on just trying to be right here, right now. So like right now I'm having this conversation with my good friend German. I'm here. I'm right here. Nothing else matters. If there's any other problems in my life, they don't exist in this moment.
right. Yeah, just try to forget about everything else, right? Or
Yeah,
put it
and be
aside for a moment
present.
and be present. Yeah.
And be present. So tell me about some of the changes that you made in the past 3 months that you think were helpful or that work.
So I did start being more consistent with the gym, right? After that whole thing happened. I mean, I'm still not going as much as I'd like to because
Give
I
me
still got,
numbers. What are we talking about? What does consistent mean to German?
well, the gym 2 to 3 times a week, and then also got like hockey and stuff like that twice a week. So I'm like working out, doing some sort of physical activity like 4 to 5 times a week.
4 to 5 times a week. That's excellent.
Or yeah, days a week, whatever you want to call
And I mean, I don't know if it's from you being consistent. I don't know how important your role is, but y'all won a hockey tournament, a championship.
it. That's right. We won the Division 7 Beer League Championship at my hockey rink.
That is so amazing and so fun.
It's fun. It's fun. I mean, I kind of make a big deal out of it. Like I just won the Stanley Cup. I know it's just a bunch of like old dudes skating around, but it's fun. They're my buddies. I mean, it's what makes it enjoyable, right? Like I know we're basically the best of the worst, but like, it's a lot of fun. And we started the season again recently, and we're getting our asses kicked because we got moved up to a much better division. So that's reality. But I don't do these things because I'm trying to like win or be the best. I mean, I want to be good at it. I want to, get something out of it, but I don't do it as like a competition, right? Like with
You do it
CrossFit,
for
right?
fun, and it sounds like you do it for the camaraderie, you do it for the team benefits,
Yeah.
and like, are you friends with these guys?
I mean, I see them pretty much mostly only on game days because we all got our separate lives. Some guys like work in Long Beach or, they got kids, whatever. But, it's kind of like being present, right? Like, it's funny because I could be feeling like crap. I could be feeling like sick or, not like sick, but like I have a headache or, my left arm is sore or something like that. The moment I get out there, I forget about it. Like, it's,
Oh, wow, that's
yeah,
cool to hear.
yeah, it's like I'm in a different zone, right?
Yeah,
So,
you're super present. That's one of the ways you get present.
yeah, yeah.
And CrossFit, do you do that for just the working out and the consistency because you like the workouts, or do you do it for the community?
I do enjoy I always tell people like the whole CrossFit thing, like the whole cultish part of it. I've never got it, right? But I'm also not disciplined enough to go to like, Crunch Fitness or whatever and, do curls on my own because I'm just going to do like 5 and be done. I need somebody like, kind of watching me or what have you, right? Like, or helping me out. Like when you and I work together, I mean, one of the best workouts I've done in the last couple of months was, I think it was that same workout during the fires where I forget what it was. Like, try to do handstand push-ups or something. And I was trying to like scale them off the box, and we had to
Yes.
do like 3 or 4, whatever it was. And
Yes.
you're like German, just do 2, but do them really well. And like,
Yes.
and like focus on where your arms need to be, where your head needs to go. And I did that, and I think I told you, like I felt like that was more effective than doing all whatever 10 reps that I was supposed to be doing or what have you, right? It was just like those 2 doing them really well, like they felt like I felt it like the next day, but I felt it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you saw a benefit from getting that additional coaching.
Yeah, the additional coaching and focusing on the form versus the numbers. That's
Yes.
that's something that when you do CrossFit or even a lot of people that just go to the regular gym, they're all about the numbers, right? The time, the numbers, and just like with hockey, that's not why I do it. I mean, I've never been. Look, a lot of people watching this or listening to this are CrossFitters, and I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings or offend them, but I don't get the whole like waiting up anxiously to find out what the next open WOD is going to be and showing up to the gym on a Friday night. I don't get that. That's just not for me. If it's for
Yeah.
if it's for you, great, but it doesn't do anything for me, right? I
Well,
want to,
to each their own,
right,
right?
to each their own, to each their own. But I don't get that part of it. Like the whole competitive. When you had Coach Jimmy, he was talking about it, how like CrossFit is like half a sport, half a workout. I focus more on the workout part.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like
Yeah, I know a lot of CrossFitters who are like you, and they just want to work out and then they want to peace out. They're not looking to, compete or take it to a different level of like where they start, competition essentially.
it's not even competition, but it's you overhear these conversations at the gym. Like, did you see what so and so put up on their Wodify? Like, how long it took them to do this workout, and or what their PR was, or something like that. And I'm just like listening. They're like, why do you care what other people are doing?
Oh, because I think there's a healthy level
Yeah,
of competition. There's probably an unhealthy level as well, and then,
yeah,
injuries arise and then
right.
people start sacrificing their form in order to get reps and time. So, you and I both appreciate CrossFit so much. I hype up CrossFit all the time, but at the same time, I'm very realistic about its flaws. And one of them is when you are doing timed workouts, especially when you're using, Wodify or some sort of app where you can see where you stack up against people in the class or at that particular gym. It creates a level of competition, which I think can be incredibly helpful and useful to some individuals.
Yeah.
But then the other ones who don't have their form, mastered, if you will, and they're willing to sacrifice it in order to feed ego, then problems arise. But I don't think that this is unique to CrossFit. I think that this can exist in lots of different realms as
Oh,
well.
anywhere. Yeah, no, like when we're talking about like hockey and like how most of us are just out there having fun, but there's always that one douchebag that thinks that he's getting drafted by the Kings, so he's gonna try to like, cross-check somebody or do something like that, right? And I'm like, dude, we're playing for fun. Like, what's the big deal? So yeah, no, that's everywhere, right? But yeah,
That's everywhere.
I think with workouts and stuff like that, that's where like too much competition can be, like you said, counterproductive. Or like in hockey, what I play, it's not like what you see on TV where they like beat the crap out of each other and whatever. It's more like technically like not no contact, right? Like we don't check each other. If one guy does it, he could seriously hurt somebody, right?
Yeah.
And with CrossFit, some of these movements, they're kind of, I don't know. I don't see a practical life scenario where I'm ever going to have to like pick up 125 pounds, pick them up over my head, and then squat with them. Like, I don't see that. I don't see how that's going to happen. A deadlift, maybe. Back squat, if you're like Forrest Gump rescuing Bubba or something, you got to throw him over his shoulders or something and his buddies. Maybe that's when the back squat comes in handy. But I never see like, oh, I'm going to pick up 125 pounds, hold it over my head and then squat down and then go back up. Like, I don't see that ever happening in life, right? So CrossFit is very much like, it's about getting the movement right and kind of benefiting from it without hurting yourself. Because I'm a
Yes.
big guy. I'm a big guy and people are like, why don't you add more weight? I'm like, I already know I'm strong. I don't need to like hurt myself doing this.
Exactly. Exactly. And I like that you could say that for yourself because you don't have to lift incredibly heavy weights in order to progress and be healthy and be
Mm-mm.
strong. I don't lift incredibly heavy weights, but I lift heavy weights. I don't lift small weights
You don't go like,
because I'm afraid of bulking up or anything like that. I
yeah.
do it so that I keep my bones strong and so that I continue to build muscle as I age, because as we age, and especially women, we lose muscle. Every single year, it gets easier to lose muscle and it gets way easier to put on fat. And so you and I alike, we just need to keep lifting weights. But does it have to be a 125-pound snatch or an
Mm-mm.
overhead, squat? Absolutely not. It does not. No.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then I want to see if I can do it and I'll challenge myself, but I'm not going to do it because I'm trying to keep up with anybody else or because so and so did this or whatever. It's more like, okay, well, last week I did this much weight. It felt okay. Let me maybe add another 10 pounds, see if that feels okay, or if I can start doing it enough consistently where I get it right.
That's very smart and that's very healthy. And I would love for more people to adopt that type of attitude as opposed to comparing themselves to somebody else who has a totally different body, who has a totally different lifestyle. No matter how similar you think you are to somebody else, they're different and their body's different and their capabilities are different. Now, I do think that healthy competition should definitely be encouraged if somebody enjoys that.
Yeah.
Now, I said healthy before I said competition So that means not sacrificing form in order to progress, right?
Right.
And so I think your strategy of adding 5, 10, maybe 15 pounds, depending on what the movement is, of course, and seeing if you can progress and pushing yourself, to me, that seems quite reasonable.
Yeah. But when we're doing those workouts where it's like, 15 overhead squats or something, I'm gonna go with like as light as I feel comfortable going light, you know.
Yeah. And
So that
I like that
get through those,
strategy.
so that I can actually get through those 15 reps or however many without, hurting myself or, without doing it with bad form, right? So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go light. That's
Go light when you're doing higher reps for sure, but light is such a relative word too, because if you feel like you can cruise through 15, that might actually be too light. Like, do you want to be a more endurance based athlete and do you want to be like going light and long term? Or do you want, like, it depends. There's a lot of factors at play here. Like, how long is this workout? How many rounds of 15 are you doing? That stuff matters.
yeah, and that's when I'm like, last time this felt comfortable, let me add a little bit more to try to, kick it up a notch. But I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, there's always a, what do you call it, the PR, sorry, the RX, right? Like 165 pounds, cleans, and I'm like, I'm gonna do 135, and maybe I'll try to go for like 145 at the end, just to like see if I can get it. I don't care about the number on the board. I care about what I'm doing.
And for those of you who don't understand what German's referring to, RX is simply the prescribed weight
Yeah,
that CrossFit gives to men and women. Those numbers will be different. The reps might be different. And it's kind of like at a higher level, a more advanced level. Rarely do I use the prescribed weights and reps for myself. Sometimes I do. It depends on where your strengths lie, right? Are
right.
you better at weightlifting? Or are you better at body weight movements? Are you really good at gymnastics? Are you great at the running? And so those are just a simple guideline. You have to go take it one step further and you have to know yourself well enough to say, okay, look, this weight here says 165 for whatever movement. I know I can do 135. And then you be good with that. But I'm glad you brought this up because there's a lot of people who look at those numbers on the board and they're like, man, I should be doing that. That should be my goal. And that's not necessarily true.
Not only that, but it's sort of like a weird thing with CrossFit that they have like the men's and women's numbers, right? Like I'm like that shouldn't even be a thing. That it should just be like it should be like the range for everybody, right? Like
Well, possibly. But the thing is that men inherently, genetically, have more muscle in general.
right.
In general.
In general,
When you put a man and a woman side by side who are like of the same age and height and all of that good stuff, men genetically will have a little bit more muscle. They'll have bigger hearts genetically. And so they have a bigger like oxygen capacity. And so that equates to like faster recovery time, all these things. And so that's why it is split by gender. Now, I will say that on some of the movements that I feel super strong about, I will not do the women's, I will do the men's. When it comes to calorie row, I'm going to do the men's number because I know I can do that. But when it comes to the super heavy weightlifting, I'm not doing the men's number and I'm probably not doing the prescribed weight for the women's either.
yeah. No, I mean I joke all the time whenever we're about to start a workout and I see the numbers and I'm like, today I'm with the ladies. Today I'm one of the ladies. I don't care that the dude next to me is lifting 195. I'm gonna go whatever.
And you know what? There are so many freaking badass CrossFit ladies out there. And so
Yep.
I think that even if you can achieve those RX numbers for the women, you're a fucking badass. Because
Yeah.
I'm not even doing those. Maybe for the body weight movements, 100% I'm doing those, but not the prescribed weights. I'm not
Right.
training in that way right now. But those numbers, the RX weights are not they're not easy. What are some other changes you made? You started going to the gym more consistently, 2 to 3
Yeah.
times a week, 2 times for hockey, so 4 to 5 times a week. What else did you change?
Just like my habits in general, I changed, but I went back to what I was doing before with kind of being more. We talked about we had the conversation about the eggs, right? Like,
Yes, we did. We
I
talked
mean,
about eggs.
so I don't quite hard boil eggs and take them with me on these long road trips that I go to for work sometimes, but I make it a point to try to find a place that may have something like that, right? And just do the. I mean, look, if I'm in the middle of the desert, I'm not gonna find a Sprouts. I mean, there might be a Chick-fil-A and they have a chicken breast salad that I can get with no dressing or the light mustard dressing or something like that. So maybe I'll do that, right? Instead of,
Gotcha.
you know,
You're trying to, so what you're doing is you're not hard boiling eggs for these long trips, because when long trip for you is a couple hours each way.
yep,
And that means that those eggs need to be in a cooler that needs to have ice. And truth be told, even if it's super cold in there, it's going to smell like farts, because that's
yep,
what hard boiled eggs smell like.
yeah,
And nobody wants that. Okay, but so what you did instead is you compromised and you said, I'm going to try and make healthier choices
yeah,
when I'm going to eat out in
yeah,
particular.
yeah.
Good for you. What did you used to get at Chick-fil-A, or did you not even go to Chick-fil-A? Did you go somewhere else?
No, I never went to Chick-fil-A. I mean, well, every now and then I would, but no, I would find like a grocery store and like buy a sandwich, which is like not terrible. It's not like, you know, a Big Mac or something like that. Although some of them can be just as bad, I guess. But I'm kind of like trying to be more. Let me get a little bit more protein, a little bit more chicken, right, or whatever it is. Right
And how
now,
do you get that? Do you just order that? What is that like? Give me an example.
so I'll just order, you know, like the Chick-fil-A thing. I'll order they have a salad that you can get with like nuggets or grilled nuggets. So I'll do the grilled nuggets and I'll get extra. So that extra nuggets, I mean, and I'll eat that.
Okay. And so before December 26th, were you going to Chick-fil-A?
Not on a regular basis. No.
No, but you would go sometimes.
Yeah, every now and then. Yeah,
What would you order before we set the goals?
probably like what was it? Oh, they like a chicken sandwich. It was just basically like they have a grilled chicken sandwich. Because I don't really like the fried whatever. I mean, it's good, but I'd rather not eat it unless it's a special occasion or I'm out or something like that. If I'm just out on a work road trip or lunch or something like that, I'm not gonna like, you know, indulge myself in that.
So you just get the grilled chickens. You used to get the grilled chicken sandwich and fries?
No fries. No.
What did you get on the side?
Nothing usually.
Just one sandwich?
Yeah.
And
And
what to
just
drink?
probably like a diet soda or iced tea or something like that. The sugar-free iced tea.
And so you went from getting the grilled chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A with a diet soda or iced tea, and you got the chicken salad that comes with either chicken nuggets or grilled chicken nuggets,
Yeah.
and then you added
Or
extra
yeah.
chicken so
Yeah.
that you increased your protein.
Yeah, and look, it's not the most ideal either way because I mean, you look at the you know, I do read labels and I do look at the nutritional content and you look at all the sodium and that stuff and I'm like, oh, it's terrible, but it's better than a freaking you know, Big Mac.
I didn't judge you.
No,
Did I
I'm
judge?
saying it. No, I'm saying it.
Yeah, you're judging you. I didn't say anything. I was
No,
just about to congratulate you.
oh no, but I'm saying it like I know that it's also not like the most you know the healthiest or the most ideal, but given the circumstances, it gets it done, right?
Is it progress?
Yes, I feel like it is.
Let everything else go.
Okay, all right.
Let it all go. You don't have to qualify anything. You don't have to explain yourself.
I'm explaining it to myself.
Well, that's okay. If you want to get better, I know you will. I
Yeah.
know you will. If you're doing it for you, good. But at the same time, how about just like saying, hey, you made better choices. Can they be better? 100%. Yes, of course they can be. That's
Yeah.
like most people,
Yeah.
myself included. How about we just take a moment and say like, hey, that was a better option.
All right. High five myself.
There you go. Pat on the back. Great
Right.
job.
Toot my own horn.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
No, no, yeah.
It's the folks who don't make any steps at all. They think they start here, and my hand is showing that the bar is really low, and then they think they need to go here, and now my other hand is above my head, so I'm showing like a really really big leap, if you will. But most people don't realize that you don't jump from one extreme to the other.
Nope.
You climb that mountain.
No, and if you do that jump, it's probably not very healthy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. And a lot of people have tried that, by the way. They've tried the unhealthy routes. And so they learned.
Yeah.
And then guess what? They try another unhealthy route and another and another. And then
Nothing
they
works.
know that it doesn't work. And sometimes people get addicted to the unhealthy route because they know that it will work temporarily. And sometimes they will do it just to achieve a short-term goal. And the problem with that is they don't realize how damaging that is to your psyche. That kind of messes you up. I think it takes a stronger person, somebody who is okay with it, takes kind of some wisdom and some maturity to take the long road and to do things gradually and not get that instant satisfaction. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, even I know that even when we talked last time, and I kind of set this goal for myself, I'm like, in a way that was almost like trying to make that jump. But I think the progress that I've made, it's like on the right, on the right slope, like going up in the right direction,
It
slowly but
is.
surely. I think.
Slowly but surely. And you know what? Maybe you not weighing yourself is exactly what was supposed to happen.
Hmm.
What I'm doing for you is I'm just simply saying, like, hey, if you did make a goal of getting down to 220 pounds or whatever it was, the only way to measure that is with some sort of measuring tool.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I asked you about that.
And I know.
But it is also okay to reframe or change the language of a word, of a goal. And you can change the goal altogether too. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about, do you want to keep the same health goal? Do you want to change it? Do you want to create a new one, or do you want to get rid of all goals? Have you thought
Uh,
about it?
no, I don't want to get rid of all goals. I mean, I'm a goal-oriented person. I'm always trying to do something, right? But no, and I don't think I necessarily need to change it. I just need to work a little harder at getting to it.
Yeah. Why don't you work harder right now?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, a lot of it is still, time constraints and just trying to find my way into some sort of consistency, I think.
Did you get yourself a committed accountability partner like I suggested?
No, I didn't. I talked to a couple people. What turned out to be not very reliable, and I'm working with getting one right now.
Okay,
Uh,
good. So maybe that's part of your goal.
yeah,
And listen, this is not me like trying to promote personal training, but the reason why I have a job is because folks sometimes need a dedicated accountability partner and they see
yeah.
really, really good results with that. Having that one-on-one attention is very helpful. And if you're lucky enough to have a coach that teaches group class that gives you a little bit of individual attention and is available either before or after class, utilize them. Utilize them.
Yeah. And I know you're not trying to advertise, but and I'm not your client. We're more just like workout buddies, but I can vouch for like that because when we work out together, you keep me in line sometimes. You're like, or help me out, like I said about that other workout, right? Like where you're just like, hey, don't try to do all these reps, just try to focus on doing it right. And
Yeah, I
it's
can't. I'm for people who I'm close with and who I'm friends with, they know
yeah,
I'm always a coach no matter
yeah,
what.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
help it and I don't want to change it.
yeah, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. You know what? That kind of reminds me of who you're friends with matters. You know, if you have friends that you respect or you admire in certain things, like I don't think I'm super creative or artistic or certain things, and if I have friends in that area, it inspires me. It just like it feels so good because it's something that I wish that I was a little bit better at and I respect. And so if you have friends who are kind of like downers and like not really achieving much in life and don't have that many goals, then this will affect you, right? And do you think that currently that your circle of friends, the people you spend the most time with,
Mhm.
do you feel like they support you and inspire you in what you are looking to achieve in this life?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Because I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that they're downers, that they're people with no goals or that they don't achieve their own things. I just think that my circle of friends is very like eclectic, and some of them don't care about like the whole working out thing. That doesn't make them like bad friends or people I shouldn't hang out with, right? That's just not their thing. They're creative, like you said, or they're whatever. But I don't think any of them ever like question, or try to like say, why do you do this? Why are you trying to do that? So in that sense, I think they're supportive. I mean, I surround myself with good people, I like to think.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
good people that don't bring you down, and
right.
they're not necessarily living the same lifestyle as you are when it comes to fitness.
Or other, they're not gonna put me down, or they're not gonna,
Yeah. Do you think that it would be helpful, or do you think that it would be a positive move to try and, become friends with people who kind of like, I don't know, inspired you?
specifically on the fitness part of it.
Health and fitness?
I don't see why it would hurt. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing with working out is that because of I'm in and out of the gym and stuff like that, it's kind of hard for me to like become friends with people, right? Like you and I became friends, and I became friends with other people during that glorious time that we've talked about, where like we had nothing but time to work out for hours at a time, right?
During the height of COVID, yes.
Right, yeah. So, but now I get to the gym and I literally like leave as soon as class is over because I gotta get to work, I gotta do whatever. So it's hard for me to like just hang around most of the time and get to know people.
And when you are hanging out with friends, what are you doing?
It depends on which friends I'm hanging out with, right? Some of them I'm doing car stuff with. We go to car shows, or we're talking about like cars, or my hockey friends, or I do grab beers with some friends, or we're going to hockey games or sports events, concerts, whatever. And that's my thing. I don't pigeonhole myself into like I'm the fitness guy, or I'm the hockey guy, or I'm the whatever I do for a living guy. That's like my race on the trail or whatever. Like that's I kind of have a lot of different interests, and so my friends
Which
are
I think is really healthy and great, by the way.
so my friends are all spread around all these parts of my life that a lot of them don't even know each other, but they're equally good friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't trying to get a certain answer out of you. I was genuinely curious
Yeah.
because I find that, I don't know, a lot of successful people, and when I say successful, I'm talking about in their particular area, in their wheelhouse. So we'll keep it to health and fitness because that's what we're talking about
Mhm.
today. But those kind of people, they hang out with other people who are also successful in that area.
Yeah.
I try to network and become friends with other trainers. It's very natural for me because the conversation tends to be super easy and
Right.
effortless, and I get excited. And as you know, I can talk about this stuff all day long. But like you, I also have lots of other interests, like
Yeah.
having a podcast, or singing, or plants, or cooking, and watching TV shows and movies. Like I love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I find that for me personally, I like looking for inspiration in the people that I spend time with.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think for me is that if I surrounded myself with groups of people that are into a certain, like fitness or whatever, that I don't know, at some point it becomes exhausting just talking about the same thing over and over again. I mean, like, I hate hanging out with lawyers.
You hate hanging out with lawyers?
Yeah, socially. Because, I mean, a couple of my closest friends are lawyers, but that's the thing. When we hang out, that's the last thing we talk about, right? But when
Well, that's because that's what you do for a job. You probably, well,
but
I
but
wasn't going to.
but my point with that is that I'll go to these social events, happy hours, whatever, or even just a lunch with, you know, a former classmate or something I haven't seen in a while. I'm trying to have a conversation about like, hey, what's going on with life, blah blah blah, and they'll be like, you hear about that case that just came down from the Supreme Court, blah blah blah, so and so versus so and so. Like, I can read about that stuff. Like, I don't really need to be talking about it while we're trying to like grab a beer.
It's not even their case, it's just something in the news.
Yeah, it's like nerding out about something, right? Like, I mean, some things I do like nerding out about, like, flying and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, I can't really like sit down and have a group of people that are just going to talk about the same thing over and over again, or the
So
same
it sounds
topics.
like yeah, you like talking about lots of different things.
Yeah, and if you're like a friend I know from the gym, maybe you want to talk about, I don't know, cars or whatever, because I saw that you have a nice car, right? I
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to talk about like the workout or my
And you
PR.
also understand that some people do want to talk about that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
but
that's also okay.
and that's okay. Yeah, but I'm just saying like I can't, like making friends from like you said, like so that I can have these conversations with them. That's not really like my ideal
Oh,
situation.
I don't think you need to make friends with people in the health and fitness world so you can have these conversations with them. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to help you find a way to get an accountability partner because you need somebody.
Yeah.
to like crack the whip on you.
Yeah. That I do.
I know that for sure because I've asked you several times. I've been like, hey, German, I know I kind of really pushed you in that workout. And I know like I'm not your trainer and just tell me if it's too much. And you're like, no, actually, I appreciate it and I
Yeah, you're
want
trying
you
to
to
help.
do it.
Yeah, you're trying to help. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to try to help. I want to help. If it's not helping, then I also want to be told that. Every single individual has a different style
Hmm.
of coaching that they like to receive. Maybe it's no coaching, but most people have like they enjoy support, but how they receive it is different. Like some people need more of the like crack that whip, and some people need more of a gentle approach, etc.
I think for me, it's if I trust the person to know what they're talking about, I'm gonna listen to them. If I think like this person knows what they're talking about and they know a lot more about this than I do, I am gonna listen to them. And that's just whether it's at work, talking to my colleagues, my boss, or when I'm flying with another pilot buddy of mine, if he's more experienced and he's suggesting that I do things a certain way, I'm gonna listen to this person because I'm like they know more than me, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I know I'm self-aware to know what I don't know. So I'm like,
Yeah, right. Let me ask you this because, we follow each other on Instagram and
mhm,
we're posting stuff
yeah,
and you post a lot of pictures of beer.
yeah, not as much as I used
So,
to, but yeah,
okay, great. But there are like every time I see your page, I can pretty much count on at least once a month there's going to be a glass of beer
yep,
in a photo. And so I want to ask you like how often are you going to happy hour every month?
several times a month. I mean,
And how many times do you go to happy hour in a week?
I wouldn't say I go to a happy hour, but I'll like grab a beer here and there, like maybe
Okay,
once a week.
sorry.
Yeah,
Grab a beer.
yeah, like once, twice a week, maybe, depending on. Sometimes I don't even like feel like it, and I'm just like,
So if we did the average, it'd be like once or twice a week?
yeah, probably.
Okay. And how many beers do you have when you go?
It depends. So if it's like I'm grabbing one after work or something like that, probably just one because I don't want to drink and drive. If I'm out with my buddies, or if I'm like at a concert, or if I'm going to like to a sports event or something, I'm gonna let loose and just have fun.
How
However
many?
many I don't know, 3, 4, I don't know,
Maybe
depending on.
more?
Could be occasionally, yeah.
So
But that's like
listen.
that's like a rare occurrence. That's
Yeah,
an
but
every
you're
now and
going,
then.
it sounds like you're having beers out and about once to twice a week on average, several times, a month. Sometimes you have one, sometimes you don't know how many because you're just letting loose. I
I'm
am
being
just
present.
simply, yes, you're being present. Okay, but don't, okay, all right, I see what you're doing there. I am just trying to find creative ways to help you lose the extra fat that you don't want because you want to keep that muscle. So we're not trying to lose weight.
Yeah,
We're trying to lose fat.
yeah,
So if we're not losing fat, that means that we're consuming more calories than we possibly need, or we're not burning enough calories.
right.
So we either need to consume less calories or we need to increase the amount of workouts. Which one are you willing to do? And do you even want to do it?
I think I need to both.
Well, let's finish with this. Let's think about what your next goal will be and how you're going to implement new changes in order to help get you closer to that goal. And then maybe anything else that there was anything you wanted to share that you haven't gotten a chance to share yet.
No, not that I can think of.
What's a good goal? You said that so if I remember correctly, your goal was to get down to 220.
I think that was the long-term goal. I don't think I said by today, but that's kind of where I wanted to get to at some point. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I think I said that was kind of like where I was when I was like at the leanest that I've been in a while, and I'm like, that's like my ideal, whatever. So I
we
still
could
like to
say
get there.
230.
Yeah, you can do that.
230. Well, I mean, I don't want to make your goal for you because
Yeah,
then it doesn't like mean as much. You need
yeah.
to make your own goals and like only if you want to.
No, I want to. I mean,
So
like I
then
said,
you tell me what do you want? And because you can't just kind of like make it up and like, oh yeah, it'll be nice. Like you have to want this, otherwise it's not
yeah,
going to happen.
yeah.
What do you want? Do you want anything to change? And then like we could say 3 more months.
3 more months. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because 3 months worked out really well for us. You made progress.
yeah. Yeah, and I intend to keep making progress. I mean, I'm not gonna, like I said, just because I didn't get to where I wanted to be or feel like where I wanted to be, doesn't mean I'm not gonna keep going.
And in all fairness, there's a possibility you made better progress than we even realize, but without any kind of numbers or without any kind of like quantifiable results or data rather,
Yeah.
there's no other way to gauge it. But I do love it when people notice if their clothes are fitting differently, and you said that they are. Is that true? They're looser?
Not a lot, but they're loser. Yeah.
Okay, hey,
Yeah.
hey, that's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. That's how it starts. Time's going to go by whether we like it or not. So you might as well just get started and keep going. Okay, so continue. What's the goal?
I think I need to keep going with the weight loss, but actually keep track of it.
Okay, so you have a scale.
Yep.
Can we use it?
Yes.
Can you weigh yourself tomorrow after you've peed and possibly gone number 2 and do it naked?
I mean, people don't need this visual, like, but yeah, I'll do it. Sorry. I mean,
You know that
you're gonna
I'm
lose.
just trying to get consistent results.
You're gonna start losing viewers if you keep bringing
You're
up
the
those
person
visuals.
who just made it visual, not me. Anyways, okay, so yes, we're starting tomorrow. We're gonna get ourselves a baseline. What would be better would be like getting an in-body or a DEXA scan. But if we're already crunched for time, then maybe we just start with the scale, and maybe we just plant a seed for the future, like DEXA scan.
Yeah, and I mean, I can do the in-body because they have it at the Nutri shops, and most of them let you do it for free or charge you like a couple of bucks to do it. So that's
If
probably
you
the
can do that,
yeah,
that would be great.
yeah,
Yeah, let's do that because it has a little more data than just one general number that includes the undigested food, all the water,
yeah.
all the, if you have extra inflammation in your body, which increases water, all of that stuff. Like it doesn't, DEXA scan's kind of better for that. Anyways, tell me nutrition wise and tell me fitness wise, what are 2 changes you're going to implement over the next 90 days?
Fitness-wise, just try to be more consistent. That's the one thing that I've been trying to do, and stuff happened, but I think unless some crazy stuff happens in the future, I think I should be able to get more consistent.
And wait a minute, we need numbers.
Okay. So keep my my 2 to 3 days a week at CrossFit, and actually try to do 3 days because that is consistent for me. And
There you go. 3 days. Let's say 3 days.
and do and hockey, which it's fun, but I wear that heart rate monitor thing, the whatever it's called.
The My Zone?
Yeah, and a good hockey game, I burn like twice as many calories as a like CrossFit workout in the same amount of
Good.
time. I mean,
Good.
so it's those counts as like double workouts sometimes.
Well, why don't you just count it as a hockey workout and don't think of it as a double workout?
Right.
Because then we get into this like weird gray area where it's like, well, I can eat double the amount of food or I can eat extra calories
Yeah, no, I
because
don't do
I've
that.
earned it, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that.
On Sundays I do sometimes.
Well, there's going to be all sorts of excuses. I've heard them. Oh, somebody just had a birthday, and oh, it's Christmas, and oh, it's Thanksgiving, and oh, it's Valentine's Day, and oh, it's another birthday. Everybody has a birthday. Everybody's got a promotion. Everybody, like, there's something to celebrate all the time. I like what you did with Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
and even though you're going to work on getting better than that, you made a better choice. There is no reason for you to stop like celebrating all the good stuff in life. I think that's part of the reason why we're friends is like you live life big, you're very social, and I really admire that about you. I think when you're out and about, choosing the healthier options, and not all the time, you've got to have some fun too, but your idea of fun is going to be different from what my idea of fun is, right? And so just, I don't know, like maybe when you have that glass of beer, really enjoy that beer, but maybe you follow it up with like 2 glasses of water.
Oh, I do that. I actually do that. I do drink it with
Good.
water. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, I know you call them excuses, but look, if I'm going to like a family function and, big Mexican family, my grandma cooks, my aunts cook, my mom, it's delicious. I am not gonna eat that stuff. I mean, sorry, I'm gonna enjoy it. I make no apologies for that.
Who said you didn't have to enjoy it? I want you to enjoy it, but that doesn't
I'm
mean
going
like
to.
it's time to pig out.
Well, every now and then maybe. Trust
Yeah,
me.
but there's a lot of now and thens with
Yeah.
you.
Well, yeah, but no, actually, there aren't that now and then. It's really like special occasions for the most part. Sometimes my wife wants to go out to dinner or something, and we'll go and eat something. But other than that, I mean, I really don't go as hard as you think I do with like drinking beer and like happy hour and eating onion rings and stuff like that.
I don't think
I don't at
anything
all.
than what you tell me. All I'm going off is based on what you tell me.
Yeah, and so that is a reality though that that's why I do indulge every now and then because I'm like, man, I go see my mom every Saturday morning. That's like the one time that I get to go visit her. And, for Mexican moms, they gotta feed you. That's like their thing. That's their love language.
I get it. I
Yeah.
have had a Filipino mom and a Filipino stepmom, and they feed you too.
Yeah.
I 100% get that. Also, how much we eat is on us. They're not
Yeah.
shoveling that food in your mouth, okay?
Well, you don't know my mom, but
German. My God.
no, but I'm exaggerating, but it is one of those things where I do have to tell her like stop, like no, like
Yeah, you're a
you
grown
you
ass man.
you
You
want
can
anything
tell.
else? Yeah, no, I do. And you want anything else? I'm like, no. Like I'm full. I just went to the gym. Like, well, can I get you? I'm like, no, no. And like, I mean, it is a thing that I have to do. But
Yeah,
uh,
but you can also be creative with mom. If mom feels like she needs to keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you, and if you politely say, you know what, no, thank you, but I love this meal so much. Can I help you do the dishes? Do something that makes her happy. She's trying to be a part of your life. She doesn't need
yeah,
to shovel food in your mouth.
no,
She's just trying to get you to like pay attention to her.
yeah,
Do something that helps her, and then you can be active too. Help her clean.
yeah. Well, she won't let me, but I've tried. But yeah,
Try again.
okay, yeah,
Anyways, okay, so you're going to work out consistently 3 times a week at CrossFit, and you're going to remember this conversation when life throws a challenge at you because life does that.
yep,
There's no way around that. How we handle it is the only thing that we have control over. And the more we practice on falling back on really good, healthy practices will eventually become our norm and our standard. For me personally, when I go through something traumatic, that's when I tell myself, Kat, this is the time when you need to go real hard with the healthy food and just stick to it no matter
mm,
what, because your immune system is compromised and you're more vulnerable to getting sick and to being extra stressed out. And so this is the time that you really need to eat healthy. So I wonder if you can try to remember that or come up with your own version of that the next time life really throws like a monkey wrench.
no, and that is like discipline because for most of us, like we do the opposite, right? We're like
But I
just
used to too. I used
right,
to go into chocolate lava cake land.
yeah.
When
And
I
so
was
I
depressed, yeah, I did that.
And so I gotta find that discipline. Like that is something that I really want to have where like, like instead of, because normal people we're like, we're gonna stress eat, we're gonna do this or that. But I really want to have the discipline to say like, no, I gotta do the opposite.
So then you make one small change at a time.
Hmm.
When you're really stressed out and you normally go for some sort of cheat meal or a cheat day or whatever, you say, you know what? I just want to swap out this one thing for this healthy thing. You need to figure out what that is.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
One little thing at a time. It doesn't have to be a big drastic change. I'm speaking from experience because I did used to stress out and I would become addicted to chocolate lava cakes, like from the grocery store, from the freezer section.
That sounds
And
delicious.
it was delicious at the time, but here's the problem. When you start to really train you retrain your taste buds. This is a thing. You can retrain your taste buds. That's why when you talk to me and you're talking to me about like these savory foods covered in cheese and sauces and it's like really rich and fatty, like it grosses me out now.
Yeah.
Honestly, it grosses me out. And I used to be like huge into watching all of Anthony Bourdain's travel shows because like he used to be kind of like godlike to me. And I still love his shows. I'm not going to lie. However, my body doesn't crave that stuff anymore
Mm.
because of the way that I eat now. It's much more simple. It's a lot lighter. It's not greasy. And when I do eat that other stuff, it just feels too heavy it just feels heavy and it goes through me. My body's not conditioned to that anymore. So I'm saying that we could retrain your taste buds.
No, I know what you mean because there's some things that I see that like, I'll stop at a gas station and the guy in front of me has like two monsters and like a pack of like mini donuts and I'm like, dude, and worst of all, they're like skinny. I'm like, how am I the fat one and this skinny? I'm over here like with like my little protein shake or whatever, and this it's got like three monsters and chips and mini donuts and whatever, and whatever. But
You know why?
why?
Number one is we don't know what the rest of his day looks like. We have no idea what he's doing and how he's moving his body and if he's moving his body. We don't know what else he's eating and putting into his body. We don't know if he smokes cigarettes, does drugs. We don't know if he's highly stressed. We don't know what his genetic history looks like. So don't compare yourself
I'm
to
not
the
comparing
dude
it.
at
I'm
the
just like,
gas station. You did though,
well,
German. You did.
I'm saying like that stuff grosses me out. Like,
It is gross, but you also said, how is this guy skinny eating that two
yeah,
monsters and a roll of donuts
yeah,
when I'm over here getting the protein shake? That's what you said. You
yeah,
compared.
yeah. Well, I sort of compared it, yeah, but
It's not sort of, you compared.
I'm questioning like why that is. But you just kind of went over it, right? Like the flow
Yeah,
of
because you don't know him.
I
You
don't.
only see a snapshot. You see a moment.
Yeah.
And you already know like that's not healthy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like that stuff's like not healthy to begin with, so I don't know why he's eating it, but it does gross me out. And I'm like, yeah, I can't eat that stuff. It's too sweet. It'll give me a headache.
Yeah, there are some foods that you're already like, hell no. All right. So you know it's possible to retrain your taste buds. And look, I'm not trying to change your whole diet. I'm just trying to find ways for you to lose fat if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah,
If you don't make any changes, nothing's going to change. So we have to think of strategies, and we might be in this conversation for a while. Yeah, 90 days from today, I think we should do a part 3.
yeah. June 26th, right? Is that where it is?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
All right. Cool.
We'll do it.
Right, and we
Is there
gotta,
anything else you want to share?
yeah, we gotta get our 100-meter race going.
You know what? That's on you. I've
That's on
been
me.
ready. I've
All
been
right.
ready to race your ass for like the past 3 months. You just keep talk, talk, talk,
All
talk, talk.
right. We'll set it
Mm-hmm.
up. We'll set it up.
Mm-hmm. All right, German. But it's in all seriousness, I really appreciate you being so candid and so honest about this stuff because people need to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's how normal people do it. How real life, comes at you sometimes, and that's that's what I've been going through. So I'm not
And you
gonna.
made progress in these last 90 days, so good job.
Yep.
I
Thank you.
am proud of you
Thank you.
because maybe if we hadn't had that conversation on December 26th, maybe you would have still been in the same place.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. And this conversation might, whip me into shape for the next one. So
That's the hope.
that's a hope.
All right, German.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.